Martio here. Welcome to another album ranking show. And today we are going to look at a Swedish band. A band that I discovered while doing Mark Wilkinson's album covers that he created for other bands par Marillion. So I discovered these about a year ago, and I think the album, my number one album in this ranking, was one of my favourite album covers. So I'll give it a listen, and it totally blew me away. And they're just a typical Scandinavian Swedish power metal band. They were formed in 2004 in a place called Bollnäs in Sweden. Now, my Swedish is not very good, so some of these pronunciations may be a little bit off. Formed, the people, two of the main people in this band are the Olsen brothers, Henrik and Thomas. They both play guitars. Thomas plays the lead guitar. And the band at the moment is Patrick Sellerby on lead vocals, Thomas Olsen on lead and rhythm guitars, Fredrik Berg on keyboards, and he has played bass, Henrik Olsen on the rhythm, Anders Broman on bass, and Daniel Sojournen on drums. They had quite a few people in the band for them. They had their original singer Urban Breed, Oscar Berlin played drums, Jörg Poe Anderson on bass, Marcus Alberson on guitars, Christian Anderen on lead vocals, Michael Borman on lead vocals, Johan Solberg bass, Pelle Åkerlind on drums. And they've released 9 albums. Now, I haven't got much information on this band because there's not much. But the 9 albums are all pretty good. There are not any bad ones in this catalogue. So we'll have a look at these 9 albums. So, coming in at number 9, we have their second album, released in 2007, called Book of the Dead. On this album, we've got Pelle Åkerlind on the drums, Fredrik Berg on bass and keyboards, the Olsen brothers, Henrik and Thomas on guitars, and vocalist Michael Borman. First track is called Sign of the Devil. It's that typical sort of start from Scandinavian rock music. The drums are really strong, some great riffs. It's a terrific album opener. The Tempter, solid track again, nothing wrong with this one. It's a great vocal from the singer at the time, Michael Borman, and I just love them guitar harmonies between the two brothers. Excellent. The title track, Book of the Dead, just great Scandinavian rock metal, solid. Bless the Unholy, very good track. I love the backing vocal on this. It's really growly, and then you get Michael's really strong vocal. Good track, works well. Favourite track on this album is this one, Lord of Battle. The guitar work again is just great. Them harmonising twin guitars are brilliant, and the solos, they sort of play off each other. It's really, really good. Excellent track. Flames of Purgatory. This is one of them galloping rock tracks. The drums, deep double bass drum. It's just a great track. Into Eternity. Oh, this is very Halloween. I think this is where they're sort of getting their influences from. It's just a terrific song. You know, sometimes you think you are listening to Halloween. Another good band we haven't done yet. Then we get Black Heart. Now this is a slower song, slow power metal tracks, great guitar solos again, excellent stuff. Black Shadows, solid speed metal here, blows your head off. Turn to Stone, The guitar work on here is great, the melody's great, the harmonising, and it does sound a little bit like Halloween, but I'm all for that. Then we get 7A Angels. Frederick's bass line on this is very Steve Harris. It's got that thundering gallop to it. It's really good track. Then the Rivers of Pain. Now this is not the best track on the album for me. It's the weakest one. I think that the vocals just not very coherent. But on the whole, a very good album. I don't dislike this at all, just because it's at the bottom. I play it, and I play these albums quite a lot because I really like this band. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we have the 9th album, and the most current album, released in 2021, and it's called Creatures of the Dark Realm. So you've got the current lineup on here of Patrick Selby on lead vocals, Thomas Olsen on lead and rhythm guitars, Frederick Berg on keyboards and backing vocals, Hendrik Olsen on the rhythm guitars, Anders Broman on bass, and Daniel Sojourn on drums. First track on this one, The Creatures of Predeluin, I think. One of them classic openings of power metal. I've got this funny feeling. It's alright. Go on then. Sorry folks. No, it's alright. Rocky's on the move. Where did we get to? Yes, we was talking about the first track. I like the keyboards on this as well. So typical, a lot of these Scandinavian albums, that keyboard is always a prominent feature. Second track is called Creatures of the Dark Realm. You come straight in from the first track, one of them intros. You've got this song. It's okay, it's just a little ploddy in places. When Fate is Calling, solid track. It's a really good vocal from Patrick. Ever Burning Flame. Don't like the start to this, but when the guitars come in, it is great. Great solo from Thomas, but the vocals are a little bit lame on that one. Eyes Come Alive. It was really good. The drumming from Daniel is pretty good. You got great keyboards from here from Frederick, and he gives it that extra layer. Pretty good song, except I think the singer thinks he's trying to sound like Rob Halford. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? No one can take off Rob Halford. That's all I'll say on that. Death Will Lead the Way. Again, one of these typical Scandinavian power metal tracks. Thumping drums, nice keyboard swirls, some great riffs. Gathering Souls. This is very harmonious, I think. The start of the vocals is such great. Brilliant track. Killed or Be Killed. Sounds okay. A little bit more smoother. It's quite a nice track. The Gargoyle's Gate. Solid track. All the elements of fast, speedy Scandinavian rock on that. March into War. I'm not keen on this one. It's one of them cheesy, hand-clapping, chanting commercial songs. Face of Evil, again, it's a little bit weak. The Wicked and the Weak, it's okay. On the whole, good album. I think this one sounds a little bit more commercial. I don't know if they're trying to break out and get to the masses, but it's a pleasant enough album, and I do enjoy listening to it. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we're going to 2011 now for the 4th album, Unholy Cross. On here, we've got Patrick Johansson on the lead vocals, Hendrik Olsen on rhythm guitars, Pelle Åkerlind on drums, Anders Broman on the bass, Frederick Berg keyboards, and Thomas Olsen lead guitars. First track on it is Moira. Moria. I don't know how you pronounce it. Great guitar work here, especially from Thomas Olsson. Really good track. Drop the Bomb. I like Patrick Johansson's vocals on here. I think he's a really strong singer. The drumming from Pele is great. Or Pele, I don't know how he pronounces it, but he's a great drummer, and that's a great track. Ones We Left Behind, more driving riffs from Thomas here, solid track. Reflections of Evil, got a great bass line here from Anders Bromham, really drives the song. Some great riffs as usual. It's a really good track. In for the Kill, all starts from that riff at the beginning when then the drums came in. You got the bass, that's sort of a lingery bass track, really strong track. Together We Fight, another one of those galloping rock songs. The two guitars sound great together, brilliant track. The Dark Side of Life, my favourite track. It's one of my favourite tracks by the band. I like the interplay here between Hendrik and Thomas. They seem to feed off each other very well. Brothers of War, one of the slower tracks, very sort of in the same line as Halloween's slower tracks, really good. Message from Hell, great drumming on this. You can hear them double bass drums going well. Really good riffs to add to it. In the Dead of Night, sounds like the last one, to be quite honest, but it's still a reasonably good track. Unholy Cross, the title track, solid track. Just good old-fashioned heavy metal. You can't go wrong with that. Good album, but I do think there's a couple of tracks that really sound the same. But it doesn't spoil the listening. It's solid enough, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, then coming in at number 6. Go to the 7th album now. This one was released 2017, and it's called War of Dragons. Got Anders Bromman on the bass, drums Pelle Åkerlind, rhythm guitar as ever Hendrik Olsson. We've got a narrator and the keyboards by Fredrik Berg, vocals are Patrick Sellerby, and lead guitar Thomas Olsson, and guest backing vocals on here, the one and only Annette Olsson, formerly of Nightwish, etc. New Era Begins opens this. It's one of these 30-second intros. That's alright. And then it goes straight into Battle in the Sky, which is a typical Bloodbound start. Harmony vocals, keyboards, everything's going on, but it all comes together. Some great drumming here from Pelle Åkerlind. Tears of a Dragon Heart, great. You can certainly hear Annette Olsson on this. Then the backing vocals, it's a very, very strong track. War of Dragons, the title track, love this track. The harmonies again are really good. There's some of the best harmonies on this album. The great guitar work from Thomas. The solo on this is really, really good. Then we get Silver Wings, my favourite track on this album. I love the start of this. It's very medieval, and then the keyboard sounds really medieval, harpsichord-y, some great vocals, and the solo again is really outstanding. Stand Up and Fight, we got another Celtic feel to this. I do love that keyboard sound on this. It's a very, very good track. Kings of the Sword, great start. Choral keyboards, solid Scandinavian speed metal. Fallen Heroes, it's a solid enough track. The last few tracks are starting to sound very much like each other now. Then we get Guardians at Heaven Gates. The start, this is amazing. The guitar work from Thomas and Pelle's drumming is brilliant on this. Terrific track. Symphony Santana, love the guitar solo in this. It's the outstanding guitar solo, stunning. Starfall, strong track again, great riffs as ever. Dragons Are Forever. I find this a little bit cringeworthy at times. It's a bit cheesy, but again, a great guitar solo. Another strong album. Like the majority of Bloodbound's art, but you can tell Anna Olsen's contribution on this. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.4. Need a drink. Just bear with me a moment. Okay then, coming at number 5, we got a 2009 now, and the third album, Tabula Rasa. On this one we've got Pelle Åkerlind on the drums, Thomas Olsen on lead guitars and rhythm, Johan Solberg on the bass, Henrik Olsen on the guitars, and Urban Breed on vocals. So we've got the original singer on this one. Sweet Dreams of Madness. I love how the tempo changes on this. Starts off with some thunderous drums, heavy metal track, and then it just goes into gentle stuff. Really, really good. Dominium, sorry. Again, the driving bass line is good from Johan Solberg. Some great drumming as ever from Pelle. It's really good, solid track. Take one. The start of this is very Metallica. The guitar work, and there's nothing wrong with it. The drumming's always good. Solid enough track. Everyone seems to play around that bass line and drums. Then we get the title track, Tabula Rasa. Bass line from Johan Solberg. Drives the song again. You can hear him really thumping down with his plectrum on that. Great track. Night Touches You, one of the slower tracks. Great vocal here from Urban Breed. Really good. Then you get Tabula Rasa Part 2, Nothing at All. Incredible drumming, especially on the hi-hat and the double bass. It's absolutely incredible. You've got that real rumble of the double bass drums, and you've got this hi-hat cymbal. Absolutely incredible. Plague Doctor. Great track. I love the beat to this. It's just a good, solid, heavy metal track. Master of My Dreams. I love the rhythm guitar on this from Hendrik. Really drives the song along. And then you got Thomas coming with some great licks on top of Hendrik's. Solid rhythm. It's a really good track. Great vocal from Urban as well. Twisted Kind of Fate. Solid track. Really thrash metal here. The bass line drives it. I really like this album. There is not a bad track on it. It's quite a speed metal track. This is. It's solid, and if you like that sort of stuff, you're going to love this. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, then coming in at number 4, we get 2019 and the 8th album, Rise of the Dragon Empire. It's that dragon continuing from the previous album. On this one we have got Anders Bromham on the bass, Daniel Sudgen on the drums, Hendrik and Thomas Olsen of course on the guitars, keyboards Fredrik Berg, lead vocals Patrick Selby. First one on this one is called the title track, Rise of the Dragon Empire. Just such a catchy tune. The keyboards are really good on this, and that's why I like Scandinavian rock. I think I love that track. Second track, Slayer of Kings. Medieval start on this one. The vocals are very good. Some really nice harmonies. Solid track. Next track, Skyriders and Stormbringers. Again, I do love this vocal from Patrick and some really strong harmonies on this. A really strong bass line from Anders. Pretty good track. Magical Eyes, solid track again. Catchy hooks, riffs, and a keyboard line that just gets you hooked, line and sinker. Then we get Black Water Bay, a little bit cheesy. This is hand waving, clapping, put your lights on your phones material, really. Not my sort of cup of tea. Giants of Heaven, very solid track. Great vocal from Patrick. His vocals delivery gives some operatic side of the track. Really strong guitar solo from Thomas again. Excellent track. Then we get the Warlock's Trail. I like the approach to this. It's got that medieval sounding keyboards. It really is good. It gives it so much atmosphere. It's a terrific song. Then we get A Blessing in Sorcery. This is one of the tracks that the keyboards are a little bit cheesy, but the rest of it is really strong. Then we get Breaking the Beast. That riff, God, such a catchy riff and bass line. Really gets your feet tapping, and if you add some hair, you can headbang to it. That's how good that is. Then we get Belarian. Very consistent again. Some great guitar licks and riffs. The solos. The guitar work here from both brothers is fantastic. Really good track. Then we get the last track on the album, Rain of Fire. Probably the weakest track. It's okay, but I wouldn't jump up and down about this one. Another really good album. The keyboards from Frederick are probably the best he's done. It gives an extra layer to some of these tracks. It's a very pleasant album. I love listening to it, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay then, coming in at number 3, we go to the debut album from 2005, Nosferatu. On here we've got Urban Breed on vocals, Frederick Berg on the bass, Pelle Åkerlind on drums, and Hendrik and Thomas Olsson on guitars. First track, Behind the Moon, a really good track. Great vocal here from Urban Breed, and this is where you first hear that really nice interplay between Thomas and Hendrik. They remind me sometimes so much of Adrian Smith and Dave Murray. They sort of play off each other very well. Into the Dark, Olsen brothers are really great on this again, playing off each other. Really good licks. They just seem to know each other's minds. Title track, Nosferatu. I think this is their Hallowed Be Thy Name, sort of in that sort of elk. It's a really good track. I love that track, my favourite on the album. Metal Monster, it's exactly what it is. It is a monster. It's got riffs that really rip out your head. Solid track. Crucified, more great guitars on this. Vocals from Urban Brilliant, really, really good. Then we get Desdemolia. It's got this sort of little funny keyboard at the beginning, sort of happy keyboard, and then all of a sudden you get these dirty guitar riffs. What an intro and what a track. Fallen from Grace. First time I heard this, it does remind me of Halloween, and even the vocals is something like Michael Kiske. It's a really good track, and I like it, and that's why I really think I like this band, because when you hear tracks like that you go, yeah, these are good. Screams in the Night, totally different here. You get this start where there's gentle taps on the cymbals, then you get this wonderful little bass line coming in, then you get them real drivey chunky riffs, and then all of a sudden it goes at 100 miles an hour. Great driving metal. Then we get the For the King. Now there's some really nice melodic harmonising guitar work on this. It's just very, very good. Great drumming again from Pelle. Midnight Sun. It's sort of an interpretation of the opening to ACSI. I'm not talking about the Churchill speech. I'm just talking about that guitar opening of that track, especially on the drums. It's a good track. I really like it. On the Battlefield, again, I think you can tell this band are influenced by Halloween and Iron Maiden, because you've got that one of them great starts, just like Iron Maiden in their latter part of their career, with that bass line and that little drums. That's a really good track, a solid metal track. Good way to end the album. I think this is a very, very good. Now, when I first listened to these, I decided to, because I'd never heard anything, I start, as you do, with their debut album. And I was amazed how good this album was for a debut album. One of the best metal debut albums I've heard in a long time. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 2, we go to 2014 now, and their 6th album. It's called Stormborn. As you notice, their covers are quite spectacular. We've got on the bass Anders Bromman, drums Pelle Åkerlind, the narrator and keyboards Fredrik Berg. You've got Thomas and Henrik Olsson on the guitars, Patrick Johansson on the vocals. We've got choir, we've got the children's choir, and it's Albin Aho, Philip Omström and Hugo Hagberg. The female part of the choir is Anna Savauberg, Hannah Olberson, Helena Olberson and Sophia Westin, and the male is Fredrik Berg, Patrick Johansson and Stephen Windmark. Bloodtail, very industrial metal with a choral, very eerie, very good. Satanic Panic starts off with a punchy guitar and harmonising. The harmonising goes through this track until you get some really rolling drums from Pelle. The bass line drives it along. It's fast and furious, excellent track. Iron Throne, the choir at the start of this is amazing. I don't know how they do it, but they've made it sound like there's more than how many people they are. Must be the overdubs and that, but it sounds brilliant. The drums are brilliant. Nightmares from the Grave. Now, the drumming in this is just superb from Pelle. He doesn't miss a beat. He's a very underrated drummer, I think. Stormborn, I think this is the most commercial sounding track that Bloodbound have ever done, but it's really good. I do like it. We Raise the Dead, this is just solid speed metal at its best. Just love that choir on it as well. It just gives it that extra atmosphere and element. Made of Steel, great heavy metal. This track reminds me of Man of War. It's that sort of driving stuff that Man of War do. It's great stuff. Then we get my favourite track on here. It's Blood of My Blood. Blah 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 blah. So I'll start again. Blood of My Blood. I've always been a fan of these tracks that start off with that frantic guitar playing, though. Well, there's nothing different about that. It's great. Then you get the drums come in, and then there's that double bass drum that really gets you rocking. Great track. When the Kingdom Will Fall. This is more slower melodic rock, and that choir sound great on this. Seven Hells, amazing track, full of great guitar licks and riffs. When All the Lights Fail. Now this is probably the worst track on the album, but it's still good, if you get my meaning. It's a little bit lame, but the guitar solo really lifts this track. I love this album. I love its operatic feel to it. The choir sound great on this, full of power. And I think I've got to say that I think Patrick Johansson was there. To me, he's my favourite singer from this band. He's got such a great vocal range. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.4. So, coming in at number 1. This is the 5th album from 2012, and it's got the best cover as well, In the Name of Metal. Bass is Anders Broman, drums Pika Okerlund, Fredrik Berg on keyboards, Thomas and Hendrik on the guitars, and Patrick Johansson. First track is called In the Name of Metal. Love the screeching vocal from Patrick. This is why I like heavy metal as well. It's driving riffs, it's great bass line, the drums are fantastic. Then we get a track called Where Demons Collide. Great bass line from Anders, pretty awesome. Then you get that great chunky chunk solid drumming from Pele. Great vocal from Patrick on this, superb stuff. Bonebreaker. This is a great track. This is why Patrick's my favourite singer. He reminds me so much of Michael Kiske from Halloween. Both powerful voices, and Patrick is on fire on that track. Metalheads Unite. My favourite track on the album. Okay, it's a bit cheesy, the lyrics, but this is what heavy metal's all about. You get that chinka chunka chunka sort of bass line, some really driving riffs. It just reminds, that's why I like this sort of music. It's that sort of junky sound you get. Son of Babylon, Thomas's guitar work is brilliant, some of his best that he's ever put down for this band. Mr. Darkness, that great first lick from Thomas, screeching away. Then you get that little the rhythm driven riffs from Hendrik. Great track. I'm Evil. Love this again. That melodic pounding riff. Great vocal from Patrick. Monster Mind. Oh, I just love that eerie guitar on this. It's got lots of atmosphere. That's another fantastic vocal from Patrick. It's really gruffy and low in this one. Really good. King of Fallen Grace, dominated by Thomas Olsson's great guitar work. The lyrics are good on this. Absolutely brilliant. Black Devil. Three good things about this. That really great bass line from Anders. The two Olsson brothers with their riffs intertwining and playing off each other. That solid beat from Pele. Second favourite track. This one is, I think, it's quite. There's two on here that I'm really fond of, and this is the other one. And then we got Bounded by Blood. This is a bit of a homage, I think, to the new wave of British heavy metal. It's just got all them elements that we loved when we were young. It's such a great track, and I think this is their way of just paying that homage to the bands that started that sound. Great way to end the album. This is my number one. I think it's got some of the best guitar work from the Hendrik brothers. Patrick's finest vocal performance in the band. As I said, he's my favourite singer, and I think this is one of the finest vocal performances. And it's got all them lovely elements of heavy metal, paying homage to the speed metal, the classic sounding metal. That's what makes it a terrific album. It's bringing all them elements of heavy metal into one place. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, little bit different. As usual, I'll put some tracks in the playlist, but go and check these out. Their albums are available on Spotify. I'm sure that you'll be able to find them on YouTube Music as well. If you've never heard them, go and check them out. If you like Halloween and you like Iron Maiden and you just like general metal from Scandinavia, you're not going to go wrong with this band. Okay, if you are a fan and you've watched it because you've never seen anyone do it, give me a thumbs up and go and check out some stuff on the channel. There's over 600 videos on there now, so there must be something there for everybody. And if you really like what we do, why not subscribe? You have to pay anything for that. You just hit that bell, and then when something comes up, come and have a look at it. So I'll be back later with retro ranking, and today we're going to do a bit of two-tone ska with the specials, so join me for that. Until then, bye for now.